Hi, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good day today. Um, I'll give it a few minutes for some people to come in here. Just wait for some people to come on in. So, as you guys come in, um, we're going to be covering a pretty heavy topic today. Um, I'm sure if you're a gamer, at least you've heard about this. Um, uh, so Activision and Blizzard, two very big gaming companies, are being sued by the state of California for what California alleges is are really a lot of counts of sexual harassment. So huge trigger warning for this live. Um, I don't get shot by a lot because being in the anti-KJ fandom, there's not a lot to get shot by, but this was really shocking, and yeah, it's gonna be intense. So, um, massive trigger warning for this live, and again, I'm not Emily D. Baker. We're just gonna read through the document. I'm not Emily D. Baker, so I don't have a total knowledge of all the legal terminology, but um, we'll kind of learn as we go. So, um, yeah, no, give me a few minutes for people to come in, and also, um, I do have my windows open, because it's July and it's Southern California and it's hot, so, um, if you hear outside noises, just be aware that that's kind of where the noise is coming from. Because my new apartment, it's you get a view of other apartments, so you might hear outside noises. So, um, I would use the fan or the AC, but I know that can be distracting to viewers. So, we're just gonna go by natural air for me to stay cool. So, I'll give it a few more minutes. So we'll kind of go over the paperwork here, and then we will go over the some news because I know on Wednesday there was a lockout at Activision, so to kind of protest the sexual harassment charges. So we'll do that, and then we'll go over the news. Um, we'll do the paperwork, and we'll go over the news. So, um, for me personally, I've never played any Blizzard games. Blizzard makes and they'll say it in the paperwork, but Blizzard makes Overwatch. I don't know. They don't do Fortnite, do they? I don't think they do. Um, Here, let us see. I know I'm trying not to touch, but Blizzard Western World. Blizzard Overwatch. Yep, Blizzard. So Blizzard does Overwatch, World of Warcraft, and Battle.net and Diablo. So yeah, that's what Blizzard does. Activision, you guys know, they do Call of Duty. They do way back in the day. They did Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which I have a lot of memories of. I used to play that all the time, all the time. So it was like one of my favorite games for N64. So um, I'm more personally connected to the Activision um, portion of this. Like that's what I was shot by, and saddened by. And I know people like Zyla, you're saying, "Oh, this isn't shocking. This happens all the time in gaming," but I was shocked. So, um, it's shocking, and it kind of makes me glad I'm a fan of Rockstar games, because I mean, Rockstar made pimp out GTA Online all the time, but at least this isn't happening that I know of. So, um, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in. I'm hoping people show up. I mean, I don't do this for money or anything. I'm not monetized, so I can't. But um, I do this because I like talking to you guys, and I like to make lives and go on and get this info out there. So again, and we're gonna start reading. And again, trigger warning. There's a lot of sexual misogynist content in here. And again, I have to reiterate, I'm not Emily D. Baker, so um, it's I don't really know any of the legalese, but most of it's pretty straightforward. I mean, the allegations are pretty straightforward. So yeah, we're just gonna hop in. So here we go. In the Superior Court of the State of California and for the County of Los Angeles, which they're in LA because Activision is based in Santa Monica. So that's why this is in LA County. Uh, Department of Fair Employment and Housing. Oh, well, you know what? Let me full screen it so that you guys can see. Bye, guys. Well, I'm here. I'm just full screening it so I can see. I hope you guys can see. Someone let me know in chat if you can't, but yeah. From I can see it, and I'm on my StreamYard page, so it looks like I can see, but I can zoom it in. Can I? Ah, there we go. Yeah, maybe 2, 4. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I think that's okay. Let me know if you guys can't see it or want to increase it more, or, let me know. Hold on, let me plug my computer in so it does not die. There we go. And okay, here we go. So, in the Superior Court of the State of California, in Florida County of Los Angeles, Department of Fair Employment and Housing. So, guys, Department of Fair Employment and Housing is gonna be referred to from now on as DFEH right here. So whenever you hear me say DFEH or like hear that acronym, that's Department of Fair Employment and Housing. So yeah. Alright, so Department of Fair Employment and Housing, an agency of the state of California, are the plaintiffs. They are the ones suing. First is Activision Blizzard Inc., Blizzard Entertainment Inc., and Activision Publishing Inc., and does 1 through 10 inclusive and those are the defendants. They are the ones being sued. So, Civil Rights and Equal Pay Act complaint for injunctive and monetary relief and damages. So, jury trial demanded. So, they are demanding a jury trial. This looks like a civil suit, but it could be a criminal suit. Civil Rights and Equal Pay Act. So it looks like it's a civil suit, but I don't know if it's a criminal suit just yet. All right, so plaintiff, Department of Fair Employment and Housing, again DFEH, named to remedy violations of the California Fair Employment and Housing Act. government code, section 12900, and something BIHA, as well as the California Equal Pay Act. Excuse me, Labor Code Section 11197.5 by defendant Activision Blizzard Inc., Blizzard Entertainment Inc., parentheses. That's what they're going to be called throughout the lawsuit. And does 1 through 10, so all of these people, all of these companies here are going to be referred to as defendants from now on throughout the remainder of the paperwork. So, and we'll get to this in a second, but I wanted to say, headquartered in California, harassment, equal pay, and other equal employment opportunity protection exists for employees. And I can note for that because I work in California and live in California, obviously. California is strict about equal pay, anything to do with equal. I mean, when you get hired someplace, especially in retail, like I do, you get packets and packets and packets and packets about California laws. And like when you go in your break room at work, like in our break room at work, there's like paid like posters everywhere about California laws and California fair employment, minimum wage, all that. California is probably one of the stricter states in the country on like workplace rights and work payment, all of that. So this is probably California, and luckily they're based in California because California is probably, if you want a civil suit about employment rights, or like for me even disability rights, California doesn't really play with disability rights. So that's why there's a lot of lawsuits about employment in California, because California is probably one of the best states to file lawsuits regarding civil employment stuff, and win. And it usually favors the employee. All right. Defendants should be a safe haven workplace in the video game industry. I agree. Sexism has plagued the male-dominated gaming industry for decades, and increasingly so in recent years. Women and girls now make up almost half of gamers in America. Hi, I'm a woman gamer in America. Women and girls now make up almost half of gamers in America, but the gaming industry continues to cater to men, even in California. Do I agree with that? I don't know. Personally, I think that's kind of a reach. See, and it's not real, and they could be talking about a bunch of things there. In my opinion, they could be talking about sexy character designs, or pay, or games made, or something like that. It's not really, they don't really make it clear how it caters more to men than women, unless they're talking about online gaming, online harassment, in which case I probably would agree, but it doesn't make it clear what they're talking about. So since it doesn't make it clear, I kind of have to disagree. But let's keep going. Women and girls, I already read that. Activision Blizzard's double-digit percentage growth 10-figure annual revenues, and recent diversity marketing campaigns have unfortunately changed little. Ouch. Defendants' compliance with California's broad workplace protections is long overdue. To enforce such compliance, DFEH, again, what does that mean, guys? Department of Fair Employment and Housing. Remember that. And I lost my place. Hold on. Okay, go. To enforce such compliance, the FEH brings this government enforcement action seeking to remedy, prevent, and deter defendants' violations of the state's civil rights and equal pay laws, to vindicate the rights of defendants' female employees, and the public interest of the state of California. Activision Blizzard Inc. is headquartered in Santa Monica, California. It is one of the largest American video game developers and distributors with approximately 9,500 employees and over 100 million players worldwide. It is considered a leading gaming platform in the Western world and it is a member of the Fortune 500 and Standard & Poor's 500. Activision Blizzard conducts business through its subsidiaries, Blizzard Entertainment Inc., King Digital Entertainment, and Activision Publishing Inc., among others. Activision Blizzard also operates global esports organizations, Overwatch League and Call of Duty League. The video game franchise Call of Duty is Activision Publishing's key product. Yay, Modern Warfare 3, represent. Upvote if you still play that. Blizzard Entertainment maintains the online gaming service Battle.net and includes key franchises such as World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch. Unlike its customer base of increasingly diverse players, Defendant's workforce is only about 20% women. Only 20%? Yikes. Its top leadership is also exclusively male and white. The CEO and president roles are now and have always been held by white men. Very few women ever reach top roles at the company. The women who do reach higher roles earn less salary, incentive pay, and total compensation than their male peers, as evidenced in defendants' own records. So here you can kind of see a breakdown of Bobby Kotick, who I don't want to repeat them here, but there have been a lot of speculations about him and his personal life. So Bobby Kotick, I guess this is year 20. So he made, I believe this is $154,613,318, like total, like overall, I guess. What's Emily D. Baker commented on kind of the jump between, he was making $30 million and he suddenly jumped to $154 million. So that she said that was suspicious, and I was like, that is kind of sus and interesting. I don't know if he gave himself a raise or. Yeah, but then there's, you kind of see the same thing here, though not as well. Here you do with Dennis Durkin. He went from $928,000 in 2018. Suddenly, come 2020, he's making almost $13 million. So that's quite a jump. And then when you see Claudine Naughton here, she was making $4 million in 2019 and then she's back down to 3 million. So while these guys are all going up, Claudine's going back down. So that raises some suspicions. So similar disparities exist throughout the company. Like the executive ranks, women across the company are assigned to lower paid and lower opportunity levels. Female employees receive lower starting pay and also earn less than male employees for substantially similar work. All right, so I have to say, we're not even at the sexual harassment part, and already they're breaking really basic workplace laws. I mean, thankfully, I have a minimum wage job, and we're all making $14 an hour. So I hope there's not any sexism or wage gap, but this is like an actual full-time job these people have, and they're not even getting, and the women aren't even getting paid a full salary. And not even before we get to the sexual harassment stuff, they're like, even if you took all of that out, they're still breaking these basic employment laws that should be in place, and no matter what state you're in. So I just find that ridiculous. Alright. Let's keep going. Defendants promote women more slowly and terminate them more quickly than their male counterparts. Faced with such adverse terms and conditions of employment, many women have been forced to leave the company. Now, okay, here's my thing with that. I've had a job where, actually, my movie theater job, I kind of felt that way too. Well, there was nothing shady going on, like sexual harassment or anything like that. But it's the reason I left. I could tell I was being mistreated, not mistreated, but treated differently because I was disabled. Like, I wasn't being given the same opportunities as neurotypical employees. But it's like you don't really have proof of that, so you can't really go based on feelings. But then it's like I didn't have a job or anything to fall back on. I just had my volunteer work, so I couldn't really quit. I wanted to quit, but I couldn't. And also, I got free movies, so. But I have felt like that too, but I didn't. They might have had the women that felt forced to quit might have had some safety net, but I didn't have that. I couldn't provide for myself if I quit. Now, imagine there might have been some women at Activision who didn't have that safety net, but who didn't have a safety net either. But because of what was going on, they had to leave. And that shouldn't be happening. Alright. Let's keep going. Number 5, defendants employ workplace culture that continues to thrive. Now, this is let me go back to me really quick. Okay. Trigger warning for this part, guys, because we're starting to get into the sexual harassment. Alright. In the office, women are subjected to, quote, cube crawls in which male employees drink copious amounts of alcohol as they crawl, quote, crawl their way through various cubicles in the office and often engage in inappropriate behavior toward female employees. Okay, now I have to full screen me because putting aside the fact that you really shouldn't be drinking at work, I mean, that's like common sense. I mean, if I drink at work, I would be fired. But there's literally, I, even though there's a Buffalo Wild Wings across the parking lot from where I work, I can't go and have a beer on my lunch break because if I did, my managers would probably smell alcohol and I would be fired. Putting aside the fact that you really shouldn't be drinking at work. And I mean, I know video game companies are like video game companies and they're not going to be strict, but you shouldn't be drinking at any job, really. And then, so putting aside that, you have these Q-Crawl things. And so now they're not really specific about what that is, but that really doesn't matter because I assume they're crawling, so they're looking up girls' skirts or they're, it says they're making inappropriate comments, but I assume crawling, they're looking up girls' skirts. It doesn't matter. I mean, even if it weren't sexual harassment, like even if it weren't guys doing it to girls, even if it was guys doing it to guys, that's disruptive to a workplace environment. Like they're trying to write code and they're trying to do other stuff. That's disruptive. That takes away from the work that people are trying to get done. So even if we took out the sexual harassment or anything like that, they're breaking so many core workplace rules to begin with. It's all right. Let's go. All right. Male employees proudly come into work hungover. Again. Play video games for long periods of time during work. Okay, I mean, well, that's still kind of bad because really the only people that should be playing video games are the devs and the testers and stuff like that. If you're just sitting in an office writing code, you should be writing code, not playing video games. Just saying. Just my opinion. Play video games for long periods of time during work while delegating their responsibilities to female employees. Okay. Listen. I have instances at my job where, like, if I'm on a sweep or when we sweep the store, I have to do something. A customer needs a restroom escort. I say, and I get asked to do it. I say, well, can you do it? Because I have to do something. I have to do a sweep or I have to go in the set stand. But that's because like I'm busy and I can't be 200 places at once. If you're like deliberately just handing your responsibilities off to an employee while just sitting on your ass playing video games, like then it's like I shouldn't laugh at this, but it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. All right, back to the sheet. All right. Engage in banter about their sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and joke about rape. I mean, okay, the banter about sexual encounters and talk. Well, okay. To my understanding, reading that sentence, you're like, okay, guys do that. Who cares? But the problem is they're doing it out loud at work, where men can, or where women can hear them, and you shouldn't be joking about rape at all, workplace or not. So yeah, but it's like guys talk about having sex, but not in a workplace or so loudly that the entire building can hear you. Most men don't, I don't think. Number 6. Unsurprisingly, defendants quote frat boy culture is a breeding ground for harassment and discrimination against women. No shit. Female employees are subjected to constant sexual harassment, including having to continually fend off unwanted sexual comments and advances by their male co-workers and supervisors, and being groped at the Q crawls and other company events. High-ranking executives and creators engaged in blatant sexual harassment without repercussions. Okay, this next part, big trigger warning for this next part because it mentions killing yourself, and yeah, it's sad. So big trigger warning. Click away if you have to. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna read it. In a particularly tragic example, a female employee committed suicide during a business trip with a male supervisor who had brought butt plugs and lubricant with him on the trip. Defendants continuously condone the quid pro quo and hostile work environment. The message is not lost on their employees. So I've been seeing people say that it's sad that it had to take a death to find out about this, and yeah, it is. But things like this need to be found out before someone dies. I'm just gonna say that. Number 7, numerous complaints about unlawful harassment, discrimination, and retaliation were made to defendants' human resources personnel and executives, including to Blizzard Entertainment's president, J. Allen Brack, but defendants failed to take effective remedial measures in response to these complaints. Employees were further discouraged from complaining as human resources personnel were known to be close to alleged harassers. An internal investigation into the Human Resource Unit noted that there was a big lack of trust, quote, and that, quote, HR not held in high regard. You think? Unsurprisingly, employees' complaints were treated in a perfunctory and dismissive manner and not kept confidential. Okay, well, they probably, and the stupid thing is, the infuriating thing is, these idiots probably interpreted the complaints and things like that as gossip and workplace gossip. There's a difference between gossip and actual people saying this person harassed me. Harassment is not gossip. Trauma is not tea. Harassment is not gossip. As a result of these complaints, female employees were subjected to retaliation including but not limited to being deprived of work on projects, unwillingly transferred to different units, and selected for layoffs. Imagine getting punished for trying to do the right thing. Can't relate. Number 8, plaintiff DFEH, an agency of the state of California, brings the enforcement action against defendants in its prosecutorial role, seeking relief in the public interest for the state and for defendants' female employees, known as the group. Pursuant to the authority vested in DFEH under FEHA, Government Code Section 12900, and related laws, DFEH's enforcement action seeks to remedy, prevent, and deter unlawful harassment, retaliation, and discrimination. Specifically, the violations pled herein include claims for such discrimination in terms of and condition of employment, including compensation, assignment, promotion, constructive discharge, termination, unlawful sexual harassment, retaliation, failure to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation, and unequal pay. Parties. Number 9. We know the plaintiff is the FEH. And Blizzard. Oh yeah, so number 10, defendant Activision Blizzard, Inc. Activision Blizzard is now and was at all times relevant to this complaint, a Delaware corporation operating in and under the laws of the state of California and conducting business in LA. Activision Blizzard's corporate headquarters are located in Santa Monica. Activision Blizzard conducts business through we read all this. So this is just kind of talking about the parties, which we already read about. Please scroll down. I don't know what you. Activision. So there's technically. So all 3 of these. So Activision, there's Activision Blizzard. So this is DFEH, they're the plaintiff. So Blizzard's a defendant, Activision Publishing is a defendant, Does 1 through 10 is a defendant, and yeah, so there's technically 3 defendants. So if we go back to page 1 and look at Activision Blizzard Inc. So there's Activision Blizzard Inc., Blizzard Entertainment, Activision Publishing Inc., and Does 1 through 10 inclusive. So there's technically 4 defendants. So if we go down, we read game platform. Activision Blizzard conducts business through subsidiaries. So these are all subsidiaries of Activision Blizzard. So there's technically 4 defendants, but Blizzard and Activision are subsidiaries. So yeah, of Activision Blizzard. So So it looks like does 1 through 10 is kind of the unknown. So it says the FEH is ignorant of the true names of the or capacities of the defendants sued herein under the fictitious names does 1 through 10 inclusive. So it doesn't, they don't know who specifically is there, they just know the company. DFEH, number 14, DFEH is informed, believes, and alleges that at all relevant times, each defendant is and was the director, agent, employee, and or representative of every other defendant and acted within the course and scope of their agency, service, employment, and or representation, and that each defendant herein is jointly and severally responsible and liable to the group for the damages herein after alleged. Remember, the group is the women, the female employees. So, at all relevant times, there existed a unity of ownership and interest between two or more of the defendants, such that any individuality and separateness between or among those defendants has ceased, and defendants are the alter egos of one another. Defendants exercise domination and control over one another to such an extent that any individuality or separateness of defendants does not, and at all times herein mentioned, did not exist. All the acts and failures to act alleged herein were duly performed by and attributed to all defendants. So they're alleging that Activision and Blizzard did everything they're about to talk about. Yep. So this is basically just saying that they believe that Activision and Blizzard did everything they were gonna talk about. All right. See, all actions of all defendants were taken by employees, supervisors, executive officers, and directors during employment with all defendants, were taken on behalf of all defendants, and were engaged in, authorized, ratified, and approved of by all other defendants. All right. Procedural history, jurisdiction, and venue. And if you're in the Katie Joy fandom, like I am, you're like great jurisdiction. So jurisdiction's not going to be an issue here because, like Emily said, because again, the company is based in LA and they're being sued in California. So that doesn't look like there's going to be an investigation. Let's see if I have to read anything. On October 29, 2018, an amended director's complaint was filed and served to add Activision Blizzard Inc. on December 7, 2018. A second amended director's complaint was filed and served to add Activision Publishing Inc. The director's complaints allege that the defendants engaged in discrimination against their employees on the basis of sex, gender, including failing to hire, select, or employ persons because of their sex, as well as discriminating in compensation or in the terms, conditions, privileges of employment due to their sex. The director's complaints further allege that defendants failed to take all reasonable steps to prevent unlawful discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. So this investigation has been going on for 2 years, more than 2 years. So this has been being investigated. They just haven't filed anything. After more than 2 years of investigation, DFEH issued the cause finding on June 24, 2021. In the course of DFEH's investigation, DFEH found evidence that defendants discriminated against female employees and terms and conditions of employment, including compensation, assignment, promotion, termination, constructive discharge, and retaliation. DFH's investigation also found that female employees were subject to sexual harassment. DFH's investigation found that defendants failed to take all reasonable steps to prevent unlawful discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. Lastly, DFH's investigation further found that defendants had committed violations of committed. I don't know if that's a typo or not. Violations of Labor Code Section 1197.5 and paying female employees less than their male counterparts for substantially similar work. These claims are alleged and or reasonably related to, unlike the claims originally alleged in the director's complaint. DFH attempted to resolve this matter without litigation prior to filing the civil action. So I was right, it is a civil suit. Yep. The DFH required all parties to participate in mandatory dispute resolution and the department's internal dispute resolution division free of charge to the parties in an effort to resolve the dispute without litigation. Good luck getting fat boys to show up to that, right? Specifically, DFH invited defendants to participate in a mediation session with the department's internal dispute resolution division on July 1st, 12th, 2nd, and 15th, 2021, but the parties were unable to resolve the administrative complaints. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is interesting. The amount of damages sought by this complaint exceeds the minimum jurisdictional limits of this court. Excuse me. Ooh, I did cover my mouth. All right, government enforcement action allegations. We're on page 9. We have 20 more to go, guys. DFE explains this government enforcement action for group relief on behalf of itself in the public interest and all aggrieved female employees, again, the group, pursuant to Government Code Sections 12961 and 12965. DFH's authority to seek legislature, that's just saying that they have the power to do it. Okay. Pursuant to such statutory authorities, DFH's director filed and gave notice to defendants that this was a group or class complaint for purposes of investigation, mediation, and civil action. DFH investigated and attempted to mediate the group or class complaint with defendants, and after failure to eliminate the unlawful practices through mediation or in advance thereof, if circumstances warrant, the DFH filed a civil action seeking to remedy the group or class violations in this court. Again, guys, they want a jury trial for this. This is not going to be like Kitty Joy, where all she had to do was sit down with Salt and Toddy and they hash it out. No, they want a jury trial for this. Because sexual harassment can be criminal charges. So, blah, 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 blah. The DFH's government enforcement action seeks to remedy, prevent, and deter the pattern or practice of unlawful discrimination and other violations, disparate impact of discrimination, and continuing violations that defendants engaged in against aggrieved female employees. And this is how they have the right to do. Okay, here we go. Factual allegations. So now we're getting into the meat of the matter. DFH incorporates and realleges all previous allegations as it fully set forth herein. Such discrimination, pay, assignment, promotion, termination, and constructive discharge. 31. Defendants have engaged in and continue to perpetuate. Did I move back? Yeah. Defendants have engaged in and continue to perpetuate discriminatory practices regarding pay, assignment, promotion, and other terms and conditions of employment, which negatively affect and impact female employees. These discriminatory practices began at hire when women were offered lower compensation and less lucrative job assignments and opportunities than their male counterparts. Okay, so I get, when you first get hired, you're getting trained. But I think and you'll see more evidence of this as we go through the stock, as we keep going through, but I think you can see that the women that are part of the group, as they're called in here, I think it's safe to say that they were overly qualified even. I mean, and there's going to be an instance where, we'll get to it, but you can see that the women in this lawsuit, in my honestly opinion, from what I can infer, they were overly qualified for what they were applying for, what they wanted to get promoted to. So it's not just a case of, well, you're just not qualified to do this. Then I would say, okay, they have a point. But in my opinion, from what I'm reading, it sounds like they were more than qualified. They knew their stuff, and they wanted an opportunity to prove that they weren't getting. I'm going to turn on my lights. So, we'll make them white for now. All right. There we go. All right. So we're not sitting in darkness. I'm not sitting in darkness. All right, here we go. Okay. Defendants paid female employees significantly less in starting pay than their male counterparts at hire. This pattern of practices and violations were continuing. Again, without even getting to the sexual harassment stuff, again, they're breaking basic employment laws that any idiot who gets a manager role should know. The pay disparity continued throughout employment for female employees. Defendants paid female employees significantly less than their male counterparts at their hire. I read this. Number 34. Women were also afforded less stock and incentive pay opportunities. Female employees were overwhelmingly, I think that might be a typo, assigned into lower grades or levels without stock and incentive pay opportunities and less opportunities. Female employees were also received less stock and incentive compensation than male employees. This pattern or practice and violations were continuing. 35. Women were steered into the lower levels of defendants' hierarchy and often had to work harder and longer to earn equal promotional and other opportunities as their male counterparts. Okay, so I don't want to say that's life, because that's really shitty of me to say, but there's no good way to say this, but it shouldn't have to be this way, but we as women have to work twice as hard to prove ourselves. It shouldn't be that way, but and then me as a disabled person, and a woman, I had to work 10 times as hard. It shouldn't be that way. But this, in my opinion, is deliberate on their part. Alright. Okay, let me take a drink. Alright. Okay, here's an example. This is the example I was talking about. As an example, a female employee working for Blizzard Entertainment was assigned to a lower level role, denied equal pay, and subsequently sought a promotion because she had been carrying out duties exceeding her job description. She was repeatedly told it was not her turn and others deserved a promotion ahead of her. Ultimately, the employee was promoted after 3 years, while her male counterpart was promoted within a year of his hire, despite having started several months after her. Her male counterpart was also assigned leadership responsibilities, which she was not afforded, responsibilities which furthered the male employee's ability to get promoted. Other example, 36. A female employee who worked at Blizzard Entertainment was assigned to a lower level, denied equal pay, and passed over for a promotion despite multiple factors that suggested she earned it. Number 1, highly rated performance reviews. Number 2, she generated significantly more revenue in her marketing campaigns than her male counterpart. And number 3, she ran almost twice as many campaigns as her male counterpart. Despite her accomplishments, her male counterpart was invited to have monthly or weekly one-on-one meetings with the vice president. She was not afforded these same opportunities, and unsurprisingly was passed over for a promotion in favor of her male counterpart. Now, okay, so I can see if this female employee wasn't qualified at all, then I would be like, okay, the company has a point. But from what I can infer here, she's more than qualified. I mean, she gets great reviews. Well, the other employee, she gets great reviews. She does all the campaigns. She's really at the top of her game in her position, but she's still not being promoted. And the other male employee is getting promoted over her. So, from if they weren't qualified employees, then you would have a point. But from all intents and purposes, from what I'm reading, in my opinion, they seem to be even overly qualified employees. So that's sexism. All right. Back on 37. Similarly, all other female employees at Blizzard Entertainment were assigned to lower level roles, denied equal pay, and further delayed or passed over for promotions in favor of male counterparts who lacked the same experience or qualifications, but who were friends with the male head of the unit. Okay. Here's the thing, when we're in college, right, and we're trying to get jobs, they always tell us networking. Networking is how you get jobs. Networking is how you meet people, blah, blah, blah. I mean, and by the male counterpart that got promoted was technically networking, but it was at the expense of a female who was more qualified than him. So he networked, but he didn't network correctly. So, yeah. A newly promoted male supervisor delegated his responsibilities to his now female subordinates in favor of playing Call of Duty. Come on, you're not in college. Other male supervisors would refuse to communicate with female employees, going to their male counterparts for information. Mm-hmm. Female employees at Activision Publishing were also assigned to lower level roles, denied equal pay, and later passed over for promotions of their male counterparts. As an example, a female human resources department employee rather at Activision Publishing was delayed and passed over for a promotion despite receiving positive performance reviews, doing substantially more work than her male counterpart and taking over the actual responsibilities of the departing person. Female accounting employees at Activision Publishing likewise noted that male counterparts were paid significantly more than them despite doing the same or less work and having less responsibilities. And we kind of saw that up top with he's the CEO, but that jump from 30 to 154 million rather, that's a little suspicious. 39 female employees were also not promoted because of defendants' discriminatory practices against pregnant female employees. A female employee working on one game team had assumed some of the responsibilities of a manager, but when she asked her male supervisor about being fairly paid for the work she was actually doing and promoted into that position, this is the one that Emily read that made me mad. The manager commented that they could not risk promoting her as she might get pregnant and like being a mom too much. What? Like that doesn't even. I don't mean to laugh. I shouldn't laugh, but it's so stupid. Like that's the most college guy thing you could say. I can't even imagine. I can't. That's I can't. I can't. Oh, that's so. There's more though. There's more. Let's keep going. There's more. In general, female employees were further treated negatively due to their pregnancies. Due to their pregnancies, supervisors ignored medical restrictions given to female employees and gave them negative evaluations while they were out on maternity leave. Can you imagine that? I didn't hear that part when Emily was reading it. Can you imagine that? Like, I'm not a mom. And I say that all the time on this channel. I'm not a mom. I don't know what being a mom is like. But imagine that though. Like, you're taking time off to bond with your new baby, and your supervisor at work is giving you a bad, like, you're taking the time off work to bond. And I know, like, some people don't believe this. I'm gonna get religious, so sorry if you don't believe this, but like, you're taking the time to bond with this new life that God gave you, this God's creation, and your male supervisor is giving you a bad performance review. Can you believe that? Like, I just got back from vacation a few weeks ago. That's like if I came back to work after vacation and my supervisor said, like, I don't know, you have to, or like, you're fired or something. Like, can you imagine that? Like, I can't imagine that. I can't. And again, I don't play any Blizzard games, but like, I grew up with Activision. Like, I play Call of Duty sometimes. Like, I used to play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater all the time. And again, I would rather have Rockstar pimping out GTA Online than this. And like, I'm the farthest thing from a feminist, but like, if you're not outraged by that, that's I can't. There we go. All right. Other female employees reported that they were criticized for leaving to pick up their children from daycare while their male counterparts were playing video games, and female employees were kicked out of lactation rooms so employees could use the room for meetings. Like, okay, so when I was in elementary and middle school, I went to after school program, and they called it, in elementary school they called it ESP, like extended student program, I think. And then in middle school it was just after school program. Depending on how, and my mom wasn't in the video game industry. She worked at she bounced around from different high schools, and she was basically an admin assistant. And sometimes she would have to work until not late, but like I remember one night in middle school, it was like me and another kid and one of the high school kids that came and helped us out. And it was just us, and it was nighttime. That's how late, like 7 o'clock. Like that's how late she was at 5, 6. Not that late. Maybe like 5 or 6. I think it was just felt late because it was standard time. But yeah, like that's how late she would have to work. And that's just in the school district. If you're in the video game industry, you're probably working twice as late. And daycares, I'm not a mom, so I don't know, but daycares aren't open that late. It's so, it's like they were taking away from their lives. I don't know. This sucks. It does suck. Number 40. Oh, now here's the racism. Women of color were particularly vulnerable targets of defendants' discriminatory practices. An African American employee noted that it took her 2 years to be made into a permanent employee, while men hired after her were made permanent employees. She also was micromanaged such that her male co-workers were known to be playing video games without any intervention by her supervisor, but her supervisor would call and check on her if she took a break to go on a walk. Now, California, remember how I said California is strict about workplace laws and stuff? California is strict about breaks too at work. So you get, at least at my job, it's if you work 8 hours, you get 2 10-minute breaks and a 35-minute to an hour lunch break. I think if you work 8 hours, it's an hour, and if you work like 7 hours, it's 35 minutes. So, like, if that's her break, one of her 10-minute breaks, she shouldn't be, as long as she comes back on time. There shouldn't be a problem. This is unbelievable. This really is unbelievable. All right. Another African American employee who worked on information technology was similarly micromanaged by her manager, unlike the men on her team. When she requested time off of work, her manager made her write a one-page summary of how she would spend that time off of work when no one else had to do any. Are you joking? What? I don't mean to laugh, but that is the stupidest thing I've ever read. Like, imagine that. Like, you want to take a vacation, but you have to tell people, your supervisors or your boss, what you're doing on vacation. Like, trust me, this is Coca-Cola. I wanted to have a beer because I knew what this lawsuit was going to be like, but Katie Joy ruined that stigma for YouTubers. So thanks a lot, Katie. I'm having to go through this sober, so thank you. I need more. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay. I just realized I forgot to mute, so I hope you like the sound of my fridge. Okay. But it's just... Oh, it looks like KJ's live, according to Twitter. Stealing my thunder. Oh. But it's just, can you imagine that, though? The male supervisor also criticized her body language, despite male counterparts slouching in meetings, and she was scolded for asking for assistance. While, where are we? And she was scolded for asking for assistance, while others could get help on similar tasks without the same criticism. That these experiences led female employees to later employment. That one hits me hard because, I mean, me with a disability, I'm constantly asking for help. Sometimes, like, I get nervous about asking for help, but I'm always asking for help. And I can't imagine just having, like, just being shot down like that while someone else gets the same help. I can't. All right. 41, as a result of these discriminatory pay, assignment, promotion, and other practices, defendants' gender pay gap is significant. Defendants paid female employees significantly less in base pay and total compensation than their male counterparts. So continuing. 42. When women complain to human resource personnel about the lack of equal employment opportunities, especially in comparison to their male counterparts, their complaints fell on deaf ears or were met with an empty promise to investigate the issue. Indeed, despite having returned Paul Hastings LLP from 2015 to 2017 and Miller Law Group in 2018 to allegedly provide analysis related to compensation data, defendants failed to take effective and reasonable steps to prevent pay discrimination, as the pay disparity between male and female employees was not remedied and continued. As a result of these discriminatory practices, female employees were forced to leave their employment with defendants. For example, female employees noted that they accepted less compensation than they were making in their prior employment or offered by other companies to work for defendants with the whole promise that they would get promoted or get other forms of compensation to make up the difference. Now, this I can relate to too, because I don't know, especially when you're disabled, you want to work for these companies because they'll promise you, like, these great benefits and stuff like that. And then you work for them, and they come the benefits you get and everything, but it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Like, I love my job now, but so I don't have that issue now. But when I worked at the movie theater, I wasn't promised the world when I started working there, but I expected it to be a fun job, and for a while it was. But they always say you'll move up quickly. I stayed a floor staff for all 3 years I was there. So, it's kind of like you have to read the fine print. But I'm not blaming the employees. I mean, the employers should deliver on that. But it's a sucky trap to fall into. They never made up ground, and instead had to watch as male competitors were promoted more quickly and offered more compensation, forcing them to leave. Additionally, defendants terminated female employees more quickly than their male counterparts. This pattern or practice will continuing. 45. In some, defendants' discriminatory practices adversely affected women in compensation, assignment, promotion, and termination. Defendants failed to take effective steps to remedy or adequately correct its compensation disparities, despite its awareness that such disparities exist. Defendants' discriminatory practices continue to the date of this complaint. So, even when this thing was filed, they were still doing this. Even after mediation, even after what happened in 2018, and even after this was filed, they still are continuing to do this. And probably are doing it right now as we speak. That's like, hold on. That's like Katie Joy levels of audacity. Like, you're exposed, but you still keep going. Does Katie Joy work at Activision? I don't know. Sexual harassment, 46. Female employees almost universally confirmed that working for defendants was akin to working in a frat house, which invariably involved male employees drinking and subjecting female employees to sexual harassment with no repercussion. Again, trigger warning for all this, guys. Queue calls in defendants' offices were common, and male employees proudly came into work hungover. Okay. At the theater, there was a girl who came into work hungover, but that's just because she was stupid. Again, taking out the sexual harassment and everything else, You shouldn't be coming into work hungover, and you shouldn't be drinking at work. This is why I don't drink on work nights or when I have to get up in the morning. I know I have to it's not like if I drink, I won't be able to get up, but it's like if I drink, I know I'll be impaired in the morning still. Not impaired, but like, you know what I mean? Like how do you say it? Like it'll affect me. So I don't want to drink when I have work the next day or when I have to get up work or up early for anything. I only drink on nights when I don't have work next day or like if I have a shift at like 2 or 4. Like on next Tuesday, I'm not working till 4. So I can have a beer or two Monday night because I don't have to get up. But it's like if you have to be at work at 9, 7, 8, 9 in the morning, why are you drinking so much the night before? It's like basic adulting to not do that. Ugh, Jesus, I can't. All right. Did I say trigger warning for this? Because trigger warning. Similarly, male employees would play video games during work, engage in banter about their sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and make numerous jokes about rape. As a product of this fat boy culture, women were subjected to numerous sexual comments and advances, groping and unwanted physical touching, and other forms of harassment. Okay, so physical touching, like sometimes when I'm at work, like I'll pat people on the shoulder or, I'll hold people, not hold people, but like put my hand on their back or something like, hey, do you need something? Or I'll put, my hand on their back. But unwanted, sexual, physical touching in this case, and usually it means like a guy putting his hand on a girl's ass. That's usually what it means, and that is unwanted, and that is sexual harassment. A female employee noted that random male employees would approach her on defendant's website and comment on her breasts. Female employees working for the World of Warcraft team noted that male employees and supervisors would hit on them, made derogatory comments about rape, and otherwise engage in demeaning behavior. This behavior was known to supervisors and indeed encouraged by them, including a male supervisor and openly encouraging a male subordinate to, quote, buy a prostitute to cure his bad mood. In the blatant example of defendant's refusal to deal with her harasser because of his seniority and position, Alex Afrasiabi, I don't know how to pronounce that, the former senior creative director of World of Warcraft at Blizzard Entertainment, was permitted to engage in blatant sexual harassment with little to no repercussions. During a company event, an annual convention called BlizzCon, Afra whatever would hit on female employees, telling him he wanted to marry them, attempting to kiss them, and putting his arms around them. This was in plain view of other male employees, including supervisors who had to intervene and pull off female employees. So, yay for the one person or two people that have common sense. Good job. Afra whatever was so known to engage in the harassment of females that his suite was named the Cosby Suite after alleged rapist Bill Cosby. Oof. Ugh. Jeez. Alpha whatever will also call females derogatory names at company events. Alpha whatever's conduct was known to Blizzard and Entertainment executives who took no effective remedial measures. J. Allen Black, president of Blizzard Entertainment, allegedly had multiple conversations with Alpha about his drinking and that he had been, quote, too friendly towards female employees at company events, but gave Alpha a slap on the wrist, i.e., verbal counseling, in response to these incidents. Subsequently, Alpha continued to make unwanted advances towards female employees, including grabbing a female employee's hand and inviting her to his hotel room and groping another woman. None of this seems like, I know things like this happen a lot, but none of this feels real. I feel like I'm in a fever dream reading this right now. None of it feels real. Red Sox lost. Alright, give me 1 sec, you guys. I just gotta jot this down about Padres. Jeez. Rockies hit a grand slam. I'm gonna mute myself for just a minute. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So 48. In a tragic example of the harassment that defendants allowed to fester in their offices, a female employee trigger warning, guys. Well, we already read this part and it's triggering, but I'll just read this part. Another employee confirmed that the deceased female employee may have been suffering from other sexual harassment at work prior to her death. Okay, this next part. Specifically, at a holiday party before her death, male co-workers were alleged to be passing around a picture of the deceased vagina. I'm sorry. Again, I feel like I'm in a fever dream. Like, I know this happens. Wow. I know this happens, but to read it, and it just seems like some sort of like nightmare, and I'm not even the one being harassed, and it feels like such a weird nightmare to me. I can't. How did they get the fucking picture? I let's just keep going. Retaliation and defendant's failure to prevent discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Number 49, the problems of harassment and discrimination extended to and at a minimum were known to those at the top. Should I close it? You know what? I'm gonna close the windows really quickly, guys. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. And just like that, it's over. I don't know if that was a plane or someone was. Sorry, guys. Um, mm, yeah, I'm gonna mute and close the windows. Be right back. Okay, so I closed the window closest to me. We'll see how that does, and then I'll if I have to, I'll close my other window. But we'll see. I'm so sorry, you guys. All right. Like I said, I don't want to use my fan just because it's bothersome for viewers. Thanks, Katie Joy, for teaching us that. But so I'm trying to use natural air. All right. All right. Uh, Defendant's former chief technology officer was observed by employees grouping inebriated female employees at company events and was known for hiring decisions based on female applicants' looks. An employee complained to Blizzard Entertainment president J. Allen Brack in early 2019 that employees were leaving due to sexual harassment and sexism. Specifically, this employee noted that women on the Battle.net team were subjected to disparaging comments, the environment was akin to working in a frat house, and that women who were not huge gamers or core gamers and not into the party scene were excluded and treated as outsiders. Right. 50 female employees had raised further complaints to various human resources personnel about the discrimination they face, including but not limited to complaints about unfair pay and assignments, male coworkers belittling them or minimizing their contributions, and male counterparts being promoted quickly despite their lack of seniority. Similarly, female employees also complained of the harassment they suffered, including that male coworkers groped them, that male supervisors asked them on dates, and of other unwanted harassment. Okay, here the thing about the dates thing. I'm gonna mute and close the other window. I'm so sorry, you guys. Hold on. Oh, do you hear that? Silence. Kinda. It's more silent than it was. All right. So, what was I talking about? Uh, some okay. The thing with the dates thing, there's a lot of stickiness that goes into like workplace dating and stuff like that. My dad actually told me a story on vacation. He was talking about how he kept asking my mom out, and she would always say no. And I mean, this is back in the 70s, but now we have laws in place to prevent asking someone out on a date once shouldn't be an issue. If she says no or if he says no, take the L, move on. It's when it becomes like a constant recurring thing that it's an issue. Just in my opinion, I know a lot of people might disagree because again, there's a lot of like disagreement about workplace dating and stuff like that. I know when I was at the theater, they had a lot of weird rules about that, but you know, it's just my opinion. Like once shouldn't be an issue. Twice or more, that's kind of crossing the line. Just my opinion. But again, this implies that it was happening more than once, which is an issue. Such lack of effective remedial measures was not surprisingly given defendants' own internal investigation into their human resources unit noted that there was a quote big lack of trust and that quote HR did not held in high regard. Multiple employees also noted that their complaints were not kept confidential. Now that's a deal breaker for me. 51. In retaliation for complaints they made regarding harassment and discrimination, female employees experienced retaliation by defendants that included involuntary transfers, selection for layoffs, and denial of projects and other opportunities. Again, imagine getting punished for doing the right thing. I mean, I know that's been like a theme in history that heroes and people we know get punished for doing the right thing, but imagine, like, I can't imagine. That's the problem. All right, back. 52. Defendants flawed policies and practices effectively allowed and continue to allow discrimination to occur in defendants' workplace. Employees have suffered and will continue to suffer harm from defendants' ongoing lawful policies and practices unless they are enjoined by this court. First cause of action: employment discrimination because of sex compensation. DFEH incorporates and realleges all previous allegations as if fully set forth herein. 54. Government Code Section 12940, Subdivision A, states that it is an unlawful employment practice for an employer, quote, to discriminate against a person in compensation or in terms, conditions, or privileges of employment because of that person's sex. 55. Defendants discriminated against women by paying them less than men because of sex in violation of Government Code Section 12940, Subdivision A. 56. Defendants intentionally discriminate against women in compensation. For example, defendants offered women lower compensation at higher, assigned them to lower paid and less opportunity levels and roles, awarded them less incentive pay and or equity pay opportunities, and afforded them less advancement and other opportunities than their male counterparts. 57. Defendants' policies, practices, and or procedures have resulted in unlawful disparate impact discrimination against women with respect to compensation opportunities. For example, defendants offered women lower compensation at higher, assigned women to the lower paid and lower opportunity levels and roles, and afforded them less incentive and or equity pay opportunities than their male counterparts. 58. As a result of defendants' unlawful employment practices, female employees suffered and continue to suffer harm, including but not limited to lost earnings, lost benefits, lost future employment opportunities, and other financial losses, as well as non-economic damages. 59. Defendants' actions demonstrate that they will continue to engage in the pattern or practice of unlawful employment discrimination and unlawful disparate impact discrimination prohibited by FEHA unless they are enjoined pursuant to the police power granted by Government Code Sections 129.20 and 129.20.5 from failing or refusing to comply with the mandates of FEHA, Government Code Section 12900. 60. Defendants' actions were willful, malicious, fraudulent, and oppressive. Well, yeah, if they were sitting on their asses playing video games all day and not doing anything about it, and were committed with the wrongful intent to injure female employees and conscious disregard of their rights. Remember, injured here doesn't mean like they physically injured them. Injured, again, going back, means they suffered damage, like they suffered economic damage, non-economic damage. That's what injured means here in my non-legalese interpretation. Okay. Unless defendants are enjoined pursuant to Government Code Section 129.65c from failing or refusing to comply with the mandates of the FEHA, female employees' right to seek or hold employment free of unlawful discrimination will continue to be violated. 62. By reason of the continuous nature of defendants' unlawful conduct, the continuing violations doctrine is applicable to all violations alleged herein. 63. Plaintiff DFEH requests relief as described herein. Second cause of action, employment discrimination because of sex promotion. 64. DFEH incorporates and realleges all previous allegations. 65. Government Code Section 129.40 Subdivision A states that it is an unlawful employment practice for an employer to discriminate against a person in compensation or in terms, conditions, or privileges of employment because of that person's sex. 66. Defendants discriminated against women by denying them promotional opportunities because of sex in violation of Government Code Section 129.40 Subdivision A. 67. Defendants intentionally discriminated against women in promotion and advancement opportunities. For example, defendants assigned women to the lower paid and lower opportunity levels and roles, delayed their career advancement, denied them promotional opportunities afforded to their male counterparts, and refused to promote women because they might get pregnant, even when women performed higher level work for extended periods of time. And again, with the whole pregnant thing, women work while pregnant. It's only, well, I don't want to make assumptions because every woman's different. I'm not a mom. But it's only like the last couple months that they're going to need to leave to get ready to have the baby. So it's like, why would you think a woman who just got pregnant yesterday would be able to work? I don't get it. There we go. All right. 68. Defendants' policies, practices, and/or procedures have resulted in unlawful disparate impact discrimination against women with respect to promotion opportunities. Among other practices, defendants' quota system, lack of application process for promotional opportunities, as well as its informal and opaque decision-making process, resulted in female employees being promoted at slower rates than their male counterparts. 69. As a result of defendants' unlawful employment practices, female employees suffered and continue to suffer harm. That's already in there. 70, this is important. Defendants' actions demonstrate that they will continue to engage in the pattern of or practice of unlawful employment discrimination and unlawful disparate impact discrimination prohibited by FEHA, and unless they are enjoined pursuant to the police power granted by government code, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you think they didn't learn anything in 2018, when they had mediation, and they're not learning anything now, they're probably going to keep going. 10 more pages, guys. We can do this. 71. Defendants' actions were willful, malicious, fraudulent, and oppressive, and were committed with the wrongful intent to injure female employees and conscious disregard of their rights. 72. Unless defendants are enjoined pursuant to government code, blah, 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 and it's kind of, yeah. For cause of action, employment discrimination because of sex termination. 70, well, this one, defendants discriminated against women by terminating their employment because of sex. They did, as we saw with the pregnant women. Trying to skim, because a lot of this is the same stuff. Okay. Fourth cause of action. Okay, 87. Defendants constructively discharge women in violation of government code section 12940 subdivision A. For example, in denying women promotions, assignments, and compensation in comparison to their male counterparts and subjecting them to sexual harassment and a hostile work environment. Defendants effectively forced female employees to leave their employment with defendants. Female employees accepted less compensation than they were making in their prior employment or offered by other companies to work with defendants, as defendants promised to make up the pay differential with future promotions or increased compensation. Given defendants' promises, female employees came to work for defendants only to realize that their promises were empty, and lots of male competitors were promoted more quickly and offered more compensation, forcing them to leave the company. 88. Defendants intentionally discriminated against women regarding constructive discharge. Defendants' policies, practices, and/or procedures have resulted in unlawful disparate impact discrimination against women regarding constructive discharge. What was that? Suffer continues to suffer harm. Willful malicious. Fifth cause of action, employment discrimination because of sex harassment. Government Code Section 12940 Subdivision J states that it is an unlawful employment practice for an employer or any other person to harass an employee, an applicant, an unpaid intern or volunteer, or a person providing services pursuant to a contract because of that person's sex. 97. Defendants' female employees were routinely subjected to unwelcome sexual advances and other harassing conduct so severe or pervasive that it created a hostile work environment. 98. The harassment was perpetrated by defendant supervisors and/or defendants knew or should have known of the conduct and failed to take immediate and appropriate corrective action. This is all. Sixth cause of action, retaliation. 106. Government Code Section 12940H states that it is an unlawful employment practice for, quote, any employee, employer, labor organization, employment agency, or person to discharge, expel, or otherwise discriminate against any person because the person has opposed any practices forbidden under this part, or because the person has filed a complaint, testified, or assisted in any proceeding under this part. So if that means if you speak out against your company, like if you bring up something wrong with them, or you file a complaint, you can't be fired. They have to do their due diligence. All right. 107. After female employees engaged in protected activities, such as complaining to human resources, defendants took adverse employment actions against female employees. Such adverse employment actions included, but was not limited to, denial of professional opportunities, negative performance reviews, forced transfers to less favorable units, constructive termination, and selection for reductions in forces, layoffs, rather likely based on discriminatory criteria applied to formal and or informal evaluations of performance. 108. As a result of defendants in unlawful employment practices, aggrieved female employees that's all the same thing. 24, guys, we got five more pages. 7th cause of action: failure to prevent discrimination and harassment on behalf of group. Again, group is the women that are involved in the complaint. Government Code Section 12940, subsection K, states that it is an unlawful employment practice for employers to, quote, fail to take all reasonable steps necessary to prevent discrimination and harassment from occurring. 116. Defendants violated Government Code Section 12940, subsection K, by failing to take all reasonable steps necessary to prevent discrimination and harassment of employees. Defendants' failure to have and or enforce adequate and consistent anti-discrimination and harassment policies caused harm to the group. Defendants failed to have an effective sexual harassment policy, failed to adequately train all supervisors, managers, and executives on the prevention of discrimination and harassment based on sex, or failed to timely discipline or stop discriminatory or harassing behavior from occurring in the workplace. So when you get hired someplace, they make you watch like a billion videos. I mean, right? Like there's videos on how to do your job, but then they also make you do, like, especially if you have a union job like I do, they make you watch like anti-sexual harassment videos, diversity videos, diversity, anti-sexual harassment, anti-discrimination. They will sit you down and make you watch all those videos, all of them. So the fact that this suit is alleging that they, like Activision and Blizzard, had none of those practices in place. I don't even know, were their employees even getting adequately trained? I wonder. If they weren't getting trained in basic workplace law, were they even getting trained on how to do their jobs? At least were the female employees? I wonder. I doubt it. But go back to full screen so you guys can see. I'm gonna zoom in a tiny bit more. Let's try one. That's actually perfect. Alright. 117, by engaging the content. Yep, we already read that. 118. As a further result of the unlawful employment practices of defendants, the group suffered lost earnings, lost benefits, lost future employment opportunities, and other financial loss, as well as non-economic damages, including but not limited to emotional pain, humiliation, harassment, belittlement, sadness, and mental anguish, and an amount to be determined at trial. Now, you're gonna get those assholes that are gonna be like, "Whoa, those are just their feelings. That's not their fault." Well, it's like, if those feelings make you lose money and are like at the behest of someone else doing them to you, I think I just pulled a Kitty Joy there because I don't know if I use behest correctly, but anyway, I'm mad, so forgive me. If those feelings lead you to lose money because of someone else doing that to you, then I mean, the person making you lose the money should be held accountable. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Alright. That's already there. 4 more pages. 8th cause of action: failure to prevent discrimination and harassment on behalf of DFEH. In 124, defendants violated Government Code Section 12940 Subdivision K by failing to take all reasonable steps necessary to prevent discrimination and harassment of employees. Defendants' failure to have and/or enforce adequate and consistent anti-discrimination policies were substantial motivating factors in causing harm to the group. Defendants failed to have an effective sexual harassment policy, failed to adequately train all supervisors, managers, and executives on the prevention and discrimination and harassment based on sex, and/or failed to timely discipline or stop discriminatory or harassing behavior from occurring in the workplace. That's already there. 9th cause of action: unequal pay. 130, Labor Code 1197.5, subsection 8L states that an employer shall not pay any of its employees at wage rates less than the rates paid to employees of the opposite sex for substantially similar work, and viewed as a composite of skill, effort, and responsibility, and performed under similar working conditions. 131, defendants' female employees received less total compensation than their male counterparts while performing substantially similar work as each other, considering their combination of skill, effort, and responsibilities, as well as their similar working conditions. So this goes back to what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about the examples, and I said if they weren't qualified to do the work, then the company would have a point in not promoting the women or, paying them. Well, they would still have the pay issue, but the promotion issue would be okay because they're not performing the same. But since here it states that they were all at the same skill set and they were perfectly capable, then they should have been promoted and paid equally. So that confirms my assumption that the women were perfectly trained, they were perfectly able to do their jobs, so they should have been promoted and paid equally. All right. 132, defendants' female employees received less base pay than their male counterparts while performing substantially similar work as each other, considering their combination of skill, effort, and responsibilities, as well as their similar working conditions. 133 dependent female employees received less incentive pay, equity, and/or benefits compared to their male counterparts while performing substantially similar work as each other, considering their combination scale of their responsibilities as well as their similar working conditions. 10th cause of action: waiver of rights, forms and procedures, and release of claims. 2 more pages. 140, section 432.6 of the Labor Code states the inter alia. Not sure what that means. Let's take a look. We're going to Google what inter alia means. Inter alia. 2 more pages, guys. It's among other things. Okay, so it means among other things. So section 432.6 of the Labor Code states, among other things, that, quote, a person shall not, full screen, sorry, a person shall not, as a condition of employment, continued employment, or the receipt of any employment-related benefit, close that so this goes faster, require any applicant for an employment or any employee to waive any right, form, or procedure for a violation of any provision of the California Fair Employment and Housing Act or this code, including the right to file and pursue a civil action or a complaint with or otherwise notify any state agency, other public prosecutor, law enforcement agency, or any court or any other government entity of any alleged violation. There we go. Base 141, based on information and belief, the FEH alleges that defendants required female employees to waive rights, forms, and/or procedures as a condition of employment, continued employment, or the receipt of any employment-related benefit, including but not limited to an adjustment, payment, or severance pay in violation of Labor Code. So essentially what that means, I gather, is the female employees were being forced to give up rights in order to receive their benefits, which isn't right. They should be receiving them as soon as they're hired, or if there's some after there's the only stipulation there should be, if there are any, is like a certain number of days until you get your benefits. That's all there should be. Blah 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 blah. 142, Government Code Section 129.64.5, subsection A, capital A, prohibits, quote, an employer in exchange for a raise or bonus, or as in condition of employment or continued employment, to require an employee to sign a release of claim or right under this part. 143, based on information and belief, the FEH alleges that defendants' female employees were required to sign a release of claims and/or rights in exchange for underpayment of compensation or an adjustment, bonus, raise, or payment, and/or other employment-related benefit. So that's already there. Last page, we did it. I know I sound like Emily. Sorry. Prayer for relief. So, what did we learn from Emily? So, the prayer for relief is what they want. It's not a literal prayer, although I guess it kind of is, not in a religious sense, but it's technically a prayer. It's what they want, basically. Wherefore, DFEH prays that this court issue judgment in favor of DFEH and against defendants, ordering 1. Compensatory and punitive damages. And again, remember what Emily taught: punitive damages are punishment. So they're asking for punishment for Activision and Blizzard. 2. Unpaid wages, liquidated damages, and other remedies and penalties available under the Equal Pay Act. 3. Injunctive relief. 4. Declaratory relief. I'm not sure what those are, so let's go ahead and Google. What is it? Injunctive relief? Let's see. StreamYard makes my computer wicked slow. I don't know why. It's because I'm using Chrome. Come on. You know what? I'll look it up on my phone. This is my new phone, guys. Injunctive relief. Injunctive relief may be mandatory, requiring the person to do something, or prohibiting, stopping them doing something. So they want to pretty much inject them, like stop Activision from doing this to employees. And the other one, declaratory relief. So let's look that up. Declaratory relief. A binding judgment from a court defining the legal relationship between parties and their rights in a matter before the court. So, binding judgment from a court defining the relationship between the parties and their rights. Okay, cool. All right, so back to... All right. Equitable relief, including number 5, equitable relief, including but not limited to reinstatement and or front pay adjustments, back pay, lost wages and benefits, including base wages, incentive pay, pension benefits, and awards, and an amount to be proven at trial. 6. Pre-judgment interest as required by law. 7. Attorney's fees and costs to DFEH. And 8. Other relief the court deems to be just and proper. And was signed by the attorneys, dated July 20th. We did it. God bless Emily, because that was only 29 pages, and I'm out of it. Sorry, I have Coke on my mouth. Kitty moment. But I wanted to see the news. So Activision. So on Wednesday, employees. Let's do this one. All right, so share screen. I know I'm all sweaty. Well, because I had to close my fucking window because of the a-hole flying the drone or whatever. I sound like an old man. Oh well. So this is from NBC News, and it says on Wednesday, Activision Blizzard workers walk out after sexual harassment lawsuit. So, Employees at the video game company Activision Blizzard staged a walkout Wednesday to demand better working conditions. Give me a second. Better working conditions. I don't know what this black thing is, but demand better working conditions for women and other marginalized groups. So employees began the event outside Blizzard's main campus in Irvine, California. So really just an hour-ish north of me at 10 a.m. Pacific time, with a virtual protest taking place on social media for those who can't attend in person, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific with using the hashtag, @ActiveBlizzWalkout. So, and talks about the lawsuit here. We know people across the company who have been complaining about these issues for decades or who have made allegations and have not been listened to, said Valentine Powell, a software engineer who has one more than 300 employees involved in organizing the protest. The lawsuit and the company's response to it was the match that lit the powder keg. Activision Blizzard did not respond to a request for a comment about the walkout and the demands. It issued statements last week condemning sexual harassment in the workplace, but downplaying the allegations in the lawsuit. We value diversity and strive to foster a workplace that offers inclusivity for everyone. A spokesperson for Activision Blizzard said in the statement responding to the lawsuit, there is no place in our company or industry or any industry for sexual misconduct or harassment of any kind, except towards women. The company also said the lawsuit includes distorted and in many cases false descriptions of Blizzard's past. Really? Powell said that's patently untrue. These things have been happening right up to the current day. So here's a picture. Fight big. I like that sign. Fight bad guys in game, fight bad guys IRL. I like that sign. The walkout organizers have 4 demands for management and mandatory arbitration clauses in employee contracts, as the organizers say they protect abusers and limit the ability of victims to seek restitution, adopt policies to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion, publish compensation data, promotion rates, and salary ranges for employees of all genders and ethnicities, and hire a third party to audit the company's structure, human resources department, and executives. So, a lot of people might say, well, that's all they did is just a walkout, but it's like, what else can you do? And I think a walkout is powerful. As we've seen the past year, protests like this are powerful and they do get shit done. So I think that's exactly what they say done. So, I'm gonna get a lot to drink because my throat is sore from eating all that. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications when I go live. I'm really trying to think of content to do, but I don't want to be a Katie Joy channel, anti-Katie Joy channel, because as we've seen what happens to people when they become strictly Katie Joy, anti-Katie Joy channels. So I'm trying not to fall into that trap. And also, I just don't have the time to stream every day because I work. Yeah, but just make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications when I do go live, and I want to end. I don't know if this statement will be controversial or not, but I think it's the right thing to do. To like, I don't play Call of Duty and Activision games very often. Like, as my name states, I'm GTA. Like, I play Rockstar and stuff like that. But I I unless you're organizing like a boycott, or boycott Call of Duty, boycott Overwatch, I don't think you should force people to stop playing, because it's not the game that's the problem. It's the people that made it. So if people want to boycott playing Overwatch or boycott Call of Duty, that's their choice. I don't think they should be forced to give up the thing they love. You know, like, people like on Twitter have been canceling Battle.net subscriptions. That's their choice to do, and they have every right to do that. I just don't force people to. All right, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you guys later. Bye.